Hello everyone, welcome back to the Average Angler's channel. Sorry it's been a while since I did a video. Those that have watched my channel regularly will know that I don't do hard cases. I've kind of stuck to the traditional approach of having a rod bag and tubes. So why is this standing next to me? Well, this is the Preston Innovations Kit Safe, and I have decided to start using it, but not to replace my rod bag. I'm going to be using it just to put my kits in, and there's a reason for that, and we'll get into it now. Right then, let's get into it. So here we've got a tube with some top kits in. There's another one here, there's another one around here. These are what I've just taken out of my rod bag. So they're my top kits, along with this one, which has also got a couple of short kits in it, which bizarrely are longer because I keep them as one piece. These are unique to me, these short kits, because I made them from long kits. So if you're thinking they're a bit longer, a bit of a strange size, that's because they're unique to me. And I want to put them into here. Now, why am I going to come away from this? Because this system kind of works for me. In here, I've got my elastics separated out into sort of similar categories. So I've got silvers elastics in here. So from silver fishing, I've got like 5, 6s and a couple of 8 elastics in there, so that I know what I'm doing. Then if I'm fishing for sort of medium sort of fish, or if I'm catching odd better fish, perhaps early spring, late autumn as well, when the carp don't fight so hard and I want a mixed bag and I'm not sure, then I've got these kits which are like 11, sort of around that sort of strength. I'm using all hybrids these days, so you know, there we are. And then I've got these kits, which are the ones I'm using the most at the moment. Now the weather's warmed up, we're all catching proper fish now, and they're really angry after they've spawned, so you do need decent kits. So this is like, if I feel like there's a chance of some quality silvers, I'll fish with the 11, sorry, the 13, and if I'm down the edge bagging or whatever, then they've got 15s in. So they're like they're all my top kits, right? These top kits here, the short ones, they've got 19 in, because these are specifically for fishing on venues where you catch short late on and you're trying to catch it faster than everybody else, so they've got heavy elastic in the short kit to try to be a little bit more efficient. So they only get used a few times a year. So essentially that's what I've got. So why would I bother changing that? Because that seems simple enough, and I can pull out. So you know, if let's say I'm at Acorn tomorrow, the weather's really nice, I know I'm going to need £150 to get anywhere near the frame. I'm not messing about with silverfish. I'm going in there to catch proper carp. I'm going to be fishing in my edge. I might be fishing short if they come short, but I'm definitely going to be in my edge. I'm definitely going to want 13s and 15s. So I can just take this tube, take all my top kits out. Let me show you what I've got. Take all my top kits out. As soon as I get to the bank, just slide them all out like this. Very tight, you might have noticed. And there we are. I've got my top kits that I need. Very, very efficient. So it really isn't any less efficient than unzipping this or whatever. So why have I bothered spending, you know, best part of £100 on something that I don't need? Well, there is a reason. Up until recently, I did not leave rigs on my top kits, but now I do. This one hasn't got one on. Obviously got broke off on the last one. This one's got one on. This one's got one on. So there we are. There, for example, is a float still on there. Like I was fishing shallow or something with that. So, well, what difference does that make, you say to yourself? Well, you just saw how tightly these top kits fitted into that tube. And you have to make sure you arrange your top kits perfectly to get them into that tube. So obviously a top kit, when it's folded away like this, it's got a thick end and a thin end. You have to group all your top kits together, put half the thick ends at that end, half the thick ends at that end, make sure it's all nice and tight and held nicely. You can just slide it into the tube, which you may say, well, that's fine, it's not that big a deal. But what can happen, and what does happen, is as you're sliding it into the tube, sometimes your floats will catch on the side of the tube, or your shots and your line, because you've got the top kits packed so tightly together, they're interfering with one another, these rigs. I want to be able to use this rig again in the confidence that I haven't damaged it, or the last thing I want to do is slide it away thinking I'm being good and then knock it, then you know, snap the tip off my because these are tough floats, but you will still break them if you you know, if you start yanking them around. So I decided to solve that problem, I needed one of these, and that is the only reason I've got it. So obviously it's very important that it first of all fits into my rod bag, which it does. I'll show you a little bit of footage now. You can see clearly that it fits into my rod bag. There is a shorter version of these available called the Compact, but sadly for my Garbolino top kits, even when they're folded, they're around about that far too long, so that didn't really work. So that's the reason that I've gone down this route. Well, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is how I put these kits away with the rig still on. Now, there's loads of little bits of plasticky crap that you can buy to put on, help you out, but you don't need any of it if you don't want to spend it. If you want to buy it because it's nice and gives you confidence that everything's right, you carry on and buy it. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't need to. So what you need is two things. What you need is two things, and they're the same thing twice. You need, I'm going to take one off and show you. You need one of these. Oh, hang on a second. It's all twisted up because I've just twisted it off. You need one of these. Can you see that? That is a piece of elastic. It's actually the same elastic. I use the same elastic as, if I can, as what's in the pole, because it helps me to identify the kits as well quicker, because obviously white elastic for me means 13. So if I can see these white things on there, I know it's a 13 as well, which gives me an even quicker way of finding it. And that is just an off cut of elastic from when I last elasticated it, tied into a little loop. You need to do two, and you put them on your top kit and you leave them on your top kit. And they live there until they perish, and then you put the new ones on. The first one you use, and some of you probably use this technique, so I've used one of these on my, I've used this technique for 10 years when it comes to putting my rigs on my roost. So when I'm putting my rigs on my roost, I literally just tighten the line up and put the hook under one of the rubbers there. So that rubber's there and the hook's under it, if you see there. In this instance, I've actually pulled it quite tight because I want a little bit of tension in it when I'm packing it away. I might not have it quite that tight when I'm fishing. I might only have it there because I don't want to expose the elastic to UV. But when it's being packed away in a dart box, it's not going to hurt. So packing away, pull it a couple of inches out. What's that? It's a foot, is it? Just under a foot probably of elastic there. And then hook it behind you, what I call my hook keep, but it's just one of them elastic loops. You've got a second elastic loop which needs to be further down the kit out of the way. Now, in order to put your kit away, you've got to fold your kit. So if you open, you've got to, you know, fold your top kit. So if you just fold your top kit and fold it, look, you can see the rig just falls away. And it's all a bit messy now. It's going to be a big tangle. It's all going to start swinging together. We don't want that. So what you want to do is keep it tight to the pole. And what you can do is you can buy some things that go in the end of your. So you take your section apart and you put them on there, or they live near the top of the kit and they bend over. I can't remember what they're called. I ain't bought any because they're flipping pointless, right? What you need to do instead is really, really simple. First of all, just make sure that your pole float isn't next to your joint. Needs to be either above or below, doesn't matter which, but it needs to be above or below, out of the way. Then separate the pole, keep it tight, keep the rig tight, and then the bottom part of the pole that I've got in my right hand as you're looking at me now, I'll just loop that around the line once, and then I'll loop it around the line again twice. So now the elastic has got the line of the rig looped around it or twisted around it in the middle there, and then all you can do is just let the tension off and fold it. And what's happened is, if you can follow this, but I'll just open it slightly, the elastic's tight, the line's gone down there, and it's actually gone round the elastic twice, then it comes back up to your knot holder, or not a knot holder, your hook keeper, and that's it. And what I do is put the two things together, and then here, which is conveniently placed in the right place because I've used it before, the other piece of elastic that's formed a loop, we just put it over the top of the kit so it keeps sitting nice and together. And the beauty is that actually also acts as like a little separator, so the hook keep actually just separates the two sections from one another, so they're not touching each other either, so there's nothing banging into each other. It's just a nice little touch, and that is how you put them away. And then obviously The beauty of this is, if you get to your peg and you think, oh, I've got a top, you take this top out today, you go to your peg and you think, I want a 13 elastic, you pull this out, you go, oh, look at that edge rig, I'm fishing the edge today, let's see if that's deep enough, because that's my edge rig. I'm happy with that. I know that that's going to be right for here, so what I'll do is I'll grab this, separate it out, taking my time because I don't want to hit anything in my shed, untwist it, takes a second to untwist, push it together, voila, I'm ready to fish. I've just got to put a plummet on there, plumb the depth, sort it out, change the up length if I want to change the up length. Sometimes I don't, depends on if I know. I might know that when I set this up last time I never hooked a fish on it, so I just leave it like that. If not, I might think I bagged up on this last time, I'll change it, or I might think I can't remember what I did with this last time, in which case I'll change it. And that's it. You are ready so much quicker, and you'll be. And when it really, where this really makes a difference to your day, is packing up at the end of the day. Because if you're fishing on a, say you're fishing on a snake lake, you fish the far bank, you got a rig for fishing in the shallow water. Then you might come away from the far bank on the first shelf down, you got a rig for that. Then you might fish down the middle, you got a rig for that. Then you might fish, you might also be thinking, oh, fish on the end of my keep nets, rig for that. So we're on 4 rigs now, then you've got an edge rig, 5 rigs. So at the end of the match, when you're trying to pack up, you've got to take 5 rigs off and either put them back onto a winder if you're keeping them, or cut the line up, cut the float off and collect the line up and do whatever you do with the line. But some way or other, you've got to deal with that rig 5 times. Whereas now, once you get good at doing this, it's literally, you just got to do this 5 times. Next. That is how quick it is to pack up. You can pack up 5 rigs before the guy next to you has got his first rig on his winder. Chuck them in your bag and wait for it. And obviously sometimes you're going to get to your peg and the rigs ain't quite right. They ain't quite right for what you want, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't actually cost you any amount of time really, because it's so quick to do that and that, and you're like, oh, it's not right. Then you've got to go and get a rig out anyway. It doesn't make any difference. So this is just a win-win-win for me. I know some people won't like doing it because they're anal about that, oh, I want a new rig every time I go fishing or whatever. But there's a if you're like me, I use 019 a lot this time of year. It's just bulletproof. 019 power line, it's like 021, 022 or something in reality. It's mega thick. You're going to be able to get several sessions out of it. So don't worry about it. Just keep changing them up lengths. That's the most important thing. What we'll do now is we'll have a little play, see how many we can get in it. How many top kits we can get in it, what it looks like. Let's do that. There we go. There's 20 top kits in there. Fit in there comfortably. I could probably get another 10 in there if I needed to. And as you see, it just folds over easy. It's all joined up nicely, so I'm doing it one-handed, so I'm not going to zip it up because I'm doing it one-handed and I can't. And that's going to fit in that big. So got this big space here. It used to have 3 tubes in it, now it's got just this in it. Just give me a second and I'll put it in there and I'll show you. There you have it. It's in. No problem at all. I think it's going to be a nice little addition to my setup. Thanks for watching, guys.